Boston Celtics squeak out of this one with a win over the Timberwolves. Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown, awesome. Derrick White, an amazing game. Let's talk about it right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Yup. Beantown, be ever ready. Recognize the city of champs. Back to back, if I say it, it's stamped. Locked on number 19, the best one, the next one. Juice loose in your pool now for the next run. It's the C's, who else could it be? What they gon' say now? Screaming like JT, Karalis, recap the madness. Every game, every practice. Best daily pod, no cap like Brad Beckett. Clutch like Drew to KP, tap in daily. Primetime Depp and D White on the sideline. Rain and Jace, how it started, raising banners, how we finished. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners.
Welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast, right here in the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day, and I've got you covered every day, Monday through Friday, with a free, fresh podcast that drops directly to your device. If you're subscribed, watch the show on YouTube, get into the comment section. Let me know what you're thinking. I'm John Karalis. I have been covering the Celtics for about 20 years now. It's a long time. I'm doing it right now as a beat writer for Boston Sports Journal. I'm also the author of Built Different, a book that celebrates Banner 18. Buy it at johnkaralis.com. $30 gets it delivered to your door anywhere in the United States. I am at the Garden. Oh, so happy to be at the Garden. Behind me, you see the actual TD Garden where the Celtics played and not a screen shot of the Garden. That's actually behind me. I love being here. I love being here at this time of night. I love being here when the lighting is like this. It is amazing. I could live here. So the Celtics get the win, 107-105, just barely squeaking by the Timberwolves. They gave up a 32-23 fourth quarter. It was not great. In fact, I think the finishes of this game were not particularly great. I'm going to talk about that later on. I'll talk about Derrick White in a little bit, Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and the three-pointers. Today's show is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Last-minute tickets, any tickets you want to anything around. All right, let's get into just the first things first here. The Celtics three-point shooting. Three-point shooting was a big deal here because in the throughout the course of the game, the Celtics had a big advantage. They shot 56 of them, 21 of 56, 37.5%. The gap closed in the fourth quarter, 15 of 41 overall for the Timberwolves. In the fourth quarter, the Timberwolves hit 6 3-pointers. The Celtics hit 3, and lo and behold, the Celtics gave up a 32-23 fourth quarter. Jaylen Brown comes out, hits the first 5 of his shots, first 5 3-pointers. It's immediately 15 points for the Celtics. All of them belong to Jaylen Brown, and ultimately he was basically the entire offense. The Celtics put together 24 points in the first quarter, to the point where Joe Mazzulla changed his substitution pattern, where he has been leaving Jaylen Brown, Jayson Tatum in for entire fourth quarters. This time he pulled Tatum and put Brown in, kept Brown in for the entire first quarter, just to try to keep some of that hot hand and hopefully maybe he could get going a little bit. But ultimately, three-pointers, as usual with the Celtics, were the big story. The Celtics getting a ton of them up, making a ton of them. When they hit 21 three-pointers, they are kind of hard to beat. And even in a game like this where they lose it a little bit at the end, I think the fourth quarter was there was some bad defense, but I think the fourth quarter was just a little more the Timberwolves got a little hot. The Celtics were missing some shots. They had some good looks. I still am looking for some more balance. I'm still looking for the Celtics to go inside a little bit, just like they did after we were talking about the win over the Washington Wizards, how the fourth quarter was just get it inside, back to the basket, hit those shots. I think the Celtics can do that a little bit more. Still looking for that balance throughout the course of the game, but they definitely still need to go to that, mix it in the fourth quarter. Remember, I keep saying this, the fourth quarter down the stretch, when you have a lead, it's just about making buckets. You cannot get outscored 32-23. You cannot put up 23 points in the fourth quarter. If they're going to score 32, then you better be scoring 30, right? I don't care that you lose the fourth quarter because you went into it with, I think, an 11-point lead, but you cannot lose it by 9. So you got to score. You got to make buckets. So I want to see Jayson back to the basket stuff. I want to see Jaylen back to the basket stuff. Get it into the post, and you can pass out of the post. I'm not Shaquille O'Neal over here saying, oh, you got to get into the post, and that's how you win games. Like, no, you don't have to be 1990s basketball, but I am saying that taking those 3-pointers, yes, the Celtics offense is a 3-point heavy offense. I get it. But also, you have to be able to do everything. You have to be able to get the ball into the paint. You have to get those touches. And if you're not getting the drives, then you got to do it some other way. And a post up is a great way to get that paint touch, just to draw defense and kick it out. You can still take the 3-pointers. I don't care that they took 3-pointers in the fourth quarter. I just care that they weren't going to some of the stuff that they could go to make this a little bit, just breathe a little bit easier in this game. But anyway, the 3-pointers are what they are, and that's where I think the Celtics clearly had the advantage and struggled in the fourth quarter because the Timberwolves were making some. Naz Reid was making some. Dillingham was making some. Like, Rob Dillingham's going to hit 6 of 10 overall, 2 of 4 from 3. Like, that's a performance off the bench that the Celtics cannot afford to give up. Celtics bench overall, what was this? 16 points. Well, Dillingham had 14 on his own plus 9, so 23. They got beat there. A problem. That's a problem. And the Celtics bench scoring has been a little bit of an issue that we're not really focusing on right now, but it's a little bit of an issue. Maybe when Porzingis comes back and now Horford goes to the bench, that changes the dynamic there a little bit. Regardless, Jaylen Brown, obviously first quarter dominant with the 3-point shooting. One thing I liked about with Jaylen there was he really didn't overdo it. He admitted afterwards, like, the 6th one, the 7th one, I didn't really like, but there was a point there we had an open one in the left corner where that was a shot. I thought, okay, that's one that he could take, but he gave it up. And then afterwards, Joe Mazzulla said, I told him, you're giving up a shot that you should take. And he said, I wanted the rest of the team to get in rhythm. I wanted us all to find the rhythm. And that is an important element. Such a tough balance to strike when you're right out of the gate, first quarter, you're the guy that's hitting all of those shots. It's very much like the Golden State game last season when they were just leaving him, except they weren't leaving him in this game. He was just hitting. He takes a heat check, no problem. Of course, you're going to take a heat check in that situation. I would. Every basketball player would take that heat check. Not an issue. The fact that he started to try to move the ball and get other guys going, and they were missing shots. So I applaud Jaylen for trying to find that balance. I think it was a smart move by Mazzulla not to pull him. I think a lot of people would have been questioning Mazzulla in that moment if he had pulled Jayson. I keep saying Jason. If he had pulled Jaylen out, and people would have been like, how do you pull the hot hand? How do you sit the hot hand? In retrospect, you might be saying, like, you could have, after he missed the couple, pulled him, left Jayson in to see if you can get some ball movement and some other guys could get going. But I thought Jaylen was pretty good. He had 29 points overall, just 1 turnover, which is great. A steal, a block, that block in the first quarter. I'll talk about that block when we talk about Derrick White, because that was a great play from Jaylen, but it was a really great recognition from Derrick White, and I want to save it for that. 4 assists for him. In fact, the assists were pretty well spread out. 4 for Brown, 4 for Tatum, 4 for Horford, 5 for Derrick White, 3 for Holiday, 3 for Pritchard, 2 for Hauser. I mean, that's a nice little distribution there. Ball movement wasn't bad. Jaylen at the end hits the dagger shot. Another play where Derrick White was the guy, the driver of that play, but also the last possession. Great defense from Jaylen Brown. The Timberwolves had 7 seconds. This is such a key, right? In fact, you know what? Let's take a second. I will come back. I will explain why the rebound that Minnesota grabbed with 7 seconds to go, that they missed the timeout call. Why all of that mattered, because that allowed the Celtics to play the defense that they played. I'll talk about all of that when I come back. Today's show is brought to you by Skims. Skims is normally when my wife heard that Skims was going to be doing ads for on Locked On, she was like, "Great! Do I get free stuff?" I'm like, "Nope. This one's for the guys." They have a men's underwear line, which I love. They sent me a couple, and I'm already putting it on my. Look, I'm 50. I asked for underwear for Christmas. I'm hoping that my stocking is stuffed with men's Skims underwear. Their stretch 5-inch boxer brief is great for flexibility. When you go work out, it stays where it's supposed to stay. It doesn't go where it's not supposed to go. You don't want to be that guy that's constantly pulling at your shorts. Everybody knows what you're pulling at. The Skims stay where they're supposed to go. They're super, super comfortable, and they're great for when you're working out because it's not that cotton that sticks to you. It kind of breathes. So comfortable in a lot of different ways. Skims, I know that when my wife says, she told me, you're going to love the underwear that they have. They have great underwear. And it's true. So those 5-inch, I recommend the 5-inch stretch boxer briefs. But the other one, they have the 3-inch stretch boxer briefs, or they have the cotton kind. Maybe you just want the cotton kind. Try them all. Shop Skims Men's at skims.com/LockedOnNBA. Let them know that we sent you. When you place your order, select podcast in the survey, and then select our show, this show, Locked On Celtics, in the drop-down menu that follows. That's how they know that Karalis sent me over. If you're looking for the perfect gifts for the whole family, Skims just launched their biggest holiday shop ever. It's all also available at skims.com/LockedOnNBA. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Go check out our free daily newsletter available right now at LockedOnDaily.com. LockedOnDaily.com. Free in your inbox. Celtics, NBA, and fantasy every day. An article on all three every day in your mailbox at LockedOnDaily.com. I am including post-game quotes of note. So some of the quotes that maybe don't make it into my stories will be included in some of there. So it's just a little something extra for you. Locked On Celtics newsletter at LockedOnDaily.com. So it's like 7.1 seconds left. I was talking about Jaylen's great defense on Anthony Edwards. The reason why the Celtics were able to play the way they played is because the Timberwolves rebounded a miss. They took a dribble before they called a timeout. So because they took that dribble before the timeout was called, they could not advance it on the timeout. So they had to take the ball out. Either they had two choices: take the ball out and go full court, or advance it by calling their second timeout, which they did. They called the second timeout. And that means they didn't have a timeout left in that moment. So whatever defense the Celtics were playing, they knew that there was not going to be, they couldn't do a bailout. When Anthony Edwards got the ball and Jaylen was all up on him, they couldn't just call a timeout. They couldn't say, okay, let's reset this because we don't like this look that we're getting. They just had to let it play out. Jaylen actually gets Anthony Edwards to give up the ball. Naz Reid does not get the shot off in time. It missed anyway. So great defense down the stretch there. Great defense on that final play by the Celtics. So That's all part of the Jaylen Brown discussion. The Jayson Tatum discussion, I think, is pretty simple. He, after an 0 for 10 night against the Washington Wizards, he comes in, shoots 5 of 12. So 5 of 22 for the last 2 games is not great, but 5 of 12 is about 41.5%. So 26 points for him, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals for Tatum, who was behind Derrick White in plus minus. D White was a +8. Tatum was a +7. Tatum, just a typically great Tatum game, I guess. Some of those threes, not a big fan of. I think when, I'm not going to get on Jaylen Brown, 7 of 10. He took a couple of heat checks. At that situation, don't care about that. Don't care that a guy who's hit 5 of 5 is taking a couple of heat checks here or there. That's sometimes, that's what a heat check is. How hot am I really? I just hit that 5th one. And can I just say, kudos to the crowd here, because I'm sitting here. So for people who are watching on YouTube, I am on the Celtics bench side. So what I'm pointing to right now is the Celtics bench. So if you're in your car, I'm in the corner of the court. Picture yourself behind the basket near the Celtics bench. I'm off to the side of that. That whole section, after Jaylen hits 2 3-pointers, that whole section, when Jaylen got the ball again, starts to stand up. They immediately, shout out to them, they immediately understood, like, okay, we've seen this before. We're standing up for Jaylen here. And this crowd was electric in the first few minutes of the game. Jaylen had this crowd captivated immediately. Each time he got the ball on that after hitting the 3rd 3-pointer, more people stood up. After the 4th 3-pointer, more people stood up. The 5th 3-pointer, I'm surprised Minnesota didn't call a timeout. They just rolled through it. But I guess they were like, hey, first quarter, we're not gonna start burning timeouts too early. But the crowd was really good. So, between those two, 55 combined points from Tatum and from Jaylen. Derrick White was huge. Derrick White, I'm tempted to give Derrick the star of the game, which it's not even a segment or anything like that, but Derrick White's 4th quarter was, I think, incredible. Not only did he hit big shots, he made great plays. That blocked shot in the corner was incredible recognition. And this was my post-game story on Boston Sports Journal. I think what we saw from Derrick White in this game is so quintessentially perfect Derrick White, and why it is such a luxury for the Celtics to have a guy like him on this team. Let's go back to the first quarter. This is the block shot that Jaylen gets, but it starts with Derrick White. The ball comes down. Dante DiVincenzo is going baseline, and there's a miscommunication. Al Horford thinks Drew Holiday is taking DiVincenzo. Holiday is, I forget who he picks up, but DiVincenzo gives the ball up, and Holiday goes with that man, and DiVincenzo's in the corner by himself. Derrick White sees it happening, and he is behind Al Horford, sprints past Al Horford to get out to DiVincenzo when he gets the ball back, stops the play, sprints to the corner, but in control. Jayson Tatum, good communication from Jayson Tatum, gets Al back. Al gets back to Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert hands it off to maybe it was Jaden McDaniels that got the drive. And then, so once Derrick White gets to the corner and Al Horford is now on Rudy Gobert, the defense is reset. Everybody's where they're supposed to be. I think McDaniel drives. I think it was McDaniel. Now Jaylen's helping from the top, and he swoops in and gets that block shot. Incredible block shot. But Derrick White's the one who made that happen, because that would have been a Dante DiVincenzo corner 3-pointer. Guaranteed. The recognition that he's looking, he's seeing, he has his guy on his back, and he's like, I am going to, trust my teammates, because they're going to see me do this. And perfect Jayson Tatum communication with Al Horford, spot on perfect. D White goes out there, makes the play. and they get the stop. Later on, same idea, except this time it's a shot in the corner, and he rises up to block it, recognizing that that shot was going up. It was similar idea, similar play, and he's just on it. And then there's the play where Derrick White completely bails out the Celtics, completely bails out Jayson Tatum. And the Celtics, you can say they got away with one. They got away with one because it looked like the basketball gods were going to be like, you know what? You're supposed to lose this game, actually. Derrick White made sure that didn't happen. We'll talk about that when I come back. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Tackle the NFL season with America's #1 sports book. Right now, a new customer, you can go sign up at FanDuel.com. If you bet $5 and win, you get $150 in bonus bets at FanDuel. So go place your first $5 bet. This app gives you everything that you need to place your bets, the live bets on the NFL, on the NBA. If you're watching the Celtics game, it's all in one place. If you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you go to the same page where you place your bets. You can check out the stats, the play-by-play, and all of that stuff. Go to FanDuel.com to join today. When you join, make sure you're using the tools that they have available. Set your limits, set your budget. Whatever your disposable income is, that's what you set your budget at. If you want to spend $50, $100, whatever it is, set the limit, and you can go have some fun gambling responsibly. And if your first $5 bet hits, it's $150 in bonus bets. So go to FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch. And make every moment more at FanDuel.com. Today's show is also brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is the place to go to get tickets, last-minute tickets, but also any tickets you want to things that are happening around town. So you download the Game Time app, use the feature called Game Time Picks. They curate the tickets that you're looking for. It filters out the fluff, right? Whatever, not the greatest, but they send you the incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste your time scrolling through thousands of tickets. You toggle in all-in pricing. So when you click that feature on, the price you see is the price that you're going to get. And then you're going to see right there a panoramic view. So if your seat's somewhere up here in the garden and you see this panoramic view, you know this is going to be the look that you're getting. So you're going to get that. You're going to get the lowest price guarantee, because if you find those tickets somehow somewhere else for less, 110% of the difference gets credited to your account. So go check it out at Game Time. I have used Game Time, so I'm not just telling you to use it. I've used it myself, and you can do it too. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDONNBA, LOCKED, LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Hey, speaking of Locked On NBA, make the Locked On NBA podcast your second listen every day. Locked On NBA Game Night, that's me on Fridays with Jake Madison. After the games are over, we go back and we cover all of them, tell you every big thing that happened in these games. So you have the whole night covered, plus Locked On NBA in the afternoons, your normal kind of like 3-person debate show. It's a great show. So check out the Locked On NBA feed. You get 2 podcasts on one feed. It's pretty great. All right, let's get back to this discussion here of the play of the game. The Celtics have just missed. It was 104-102. Here come the Timberwolves coming down. Anthony Edwards has the ball. Minute and a half or so left. Jaden McDaniels goes up to set a screen. He ghosts it. And ghosting the screen means he looks like he's going to set it, but then he flies past. Jayson Tatum and Drew Holiday. Miscommunication. Tatum kind of goes. He takes a step away. Drew Holiday takes a step back. Anthony Edwards, who had already hit a couple of 3-pointers, was scoring in the fourth quarter, was leading this comeback, steps into a very wide open 3-pointer. On the broadcast, Brian Scalabrine goes, "Oh, no." And it was almost like slow motion, like, "Oh, no." The moment demanded that type of call, because it was a very oh, no moment. You're like, oh, here they go. Here they go. They didn't do the things that they needed to do to hold that fourth quarter lead. Minnesota starts getting hot, and now Anthony Edwards steps into that shot. And you're thinking this is it. He somehow misses. And the way I joked about it on Boston Sports Journal, that the basketball gods were like joking with the football gods about what they did to the Commanders earlier in the day. And then they turn around like, oh, wait, no, we were supposed to ruin this game for the Celtics too. We'll just make Jayson Tatum commit a turnover. Tatum gets the ball, rebound comes to him, and he throws a kick-ahead pass to Derrick White. Except Derrick White's not as far up along as Tatum thought he was. He said, I swore after the game, I swore D. White was further ahead. And he said, he made me look good, or made me look not as bad by going to get it. Derrick White turns on the Jets, goes, gets the ball. He's up, and it's happening right here on the YouTube page. It's happening right here. He tips the ball back in bounds. He tap dances his way back onto the court. Gets the ball, gets it to Holiday. Holiday swings it to Jaylen Brown in rhythm, three-pointer, bang. 107-102. That's the dagger. Minnesota got it to 107-105. That's the final score. They couldn't score anymore. That's the game-winning shot. All because Derrick White's hustle. Derrick White making big play after big play. After that play, Minnesota calls the timeout. Derrick White coming back to the bench. He's like, I'm fast. I'm fast. I know I'm fast. I asked him about it after the game. He said, well, we're having a little bit of a discussion about who the fastest on the team is. And I had to make my case. And he might be the fastest on the team. He got to that ball. He got to everything. He gets to the loose balls. He makes big shots. He's having fun. He's just making every defensive play. You rarely see an off night from Derrick White. It is incredible, incredible, incredible to watch. He saved the Celtics because they're having bad finishes. The fourth quarter one, a lot more to do with shooting, variance. Like I said, the Timberwolves got hot. The end of the first half, though, they had a 10-point lead, I think it was, and they give up a run to go down. They were up 3. So they were up 3 at the half, but it was a 10-point lead, and they give up like a 7-0 run to close the half. You can't close halves like that. Joe Mazzulla talks about it all the time. Start quarters, finish quarters, strong. Now, they came out in the third quarter and started super strong. Right? It was a 14-2 run, I believe. Super strong. And they built the lead that was up to 19. That should have been it. But obviously, Minnesota is tough. I don't care that they're a little bit disjointed. I don't care that the trade for Julius Randle has not seemed to work at this point yet. But they're still tough. They are still tough. And the Celtics have to be better closing these quarters, closing halves. That almost burned them in this one. But shout out to Derrick White, man. Derrick White, I could sit here in every show. This could be like the Locked On D White podcast because he does that many good things for the Celtics. Al Horford did not shoot well, but I thought he had a pretty decent game. He had some moments, I think, in the third quarter or second quarter. It was the second quarter where the Celtics started to get hot a little bit. They were starting to make shots. Remember, the first quarter was Jaylen Brown and kind of nobody else. The second quarter, Al Horford had made some shots. So I thought he was okay. Pretty quiet night from Peyton Pritchard, Sam Hauser, Xavier Tillman. Xavier Tillman did give him a little bit of a boost, I should say. No Luke Cornett in this game because he had right hamstring tightness, late scratch heading into it. They decided not to go with Neemias Queta. I think Neemias Queta is he's starting to fade a little bit. I think he's starting to fall out of the rotation a little bit. Like I said after the last game, he's making some of the same mistakes over and over again. And when you're making the same mistakes over and over, that's how you lose your spot. It's one thing to make mistakes. That happens. But when you're repeating mistakes, that's going to lose you minutes. So they decided not to go with Queta in this one. And honestly, this might not have been a great Queta matchup anyway. I don't think that would have gone particularly great. They needed to pull Rudy Gobert away from the rim. So they needed Obviously, Al Horford starting. They needed somebody in Tillman to maybe be a little bit more of a threat whenever he was on the floor with Gobert. They just needed something. If you had Kata in there with Gobert at all, then that would have been it would have been nothing but 3-pointers. I mean, it was almost nothing but 3-pointers anyway, but it definitely would have been nothing but 3-pointers. So overall, this is a solid game with some mistakes that the Celtics should be cleaning up. Now they go back to back. This is going to be tough because they got the Clippers coming in. Clippers, you don't think of them as a big defensive team, but they play some pretty solid defense. That's going to be a tough one for the Celtics on a back-to-back. The Celtics are going to be they're entering a tough stretch after this week. So these are important games to get. They got this one. It'd be great if they could get this game on Monday night, because then they have 3 days off. They have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday off. They are in Chicago on Friday. If they can take care of business there, that can be kind of an easier time. I know it's a cup game, and I know point differential might matter, but hopefully that's a game that they can take care of. And then that starts a stretch where that next week is 5 games in 7 nights, and it's actually 6 games in 9 nights for the Celtics. So this is a tough stretch coming up. This is this week. It's important while you still get some rest. It's super important to get these wins while you can. I'll be talking about it. I'll be back tomorrow after the Clippers game. So make sure you're listening. Locked On Celtics Postcast has you covered immediately after the games. So once the game is over, Locked On Celtics Postcast is on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube page. They go live on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube page. Then that audio is uploaded to this feed, this Locked On Celtics feed. So Locked On Celtics Postcast has you immediate reaction, has you covered. After the game, go down. I talk to Joe Mazzulla. I talk to the players. And then I come out here after I'm done with my writing for Boston Sports Journal. I give you a little bit more in depth, with some of the nuance that I've seen and what players have said. So that's how this whole podcasting thing works on Locked On Celtics. So subscribe if you have not yet. If you're still here, I would hope that means you've enjoyed the show and you're going to subscribe. Make sure you're on the YouTube page. Make sure you're in the comment section. I love seeing the comment section go crazy. Lots of great Celtics fans in there. Love seeing you in the comment section. And then share the podcast. Tell your friends, tell everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.